All right, so let's talk the morning show. Created by Jay Carson and Kerry Ehrin. Jay Carson was the producer on House of Cards. Kerry Ehrin was the producer on Bates Motel and Friday Night Lights. It's an inside look at the lives of people who help America wake up in the morning, exploring the unique challenges faced by the men and women who carry out this daily televised ritual, inspired by Brian Stelter's book, Top of the Morning, inside the cutthroat world of morning TV. There were episodes directed by Mimi Leder, who directed On the Basis of Sex, The Leftovers, Shameless. Also, David Frankel, who did Devil Wears Prada, Entourage, Sex and the City, Band of Brothers. Kevin Bray, who did Insecure, Blackish. Roxanne Dawson, who did This Is Us, The Deuce, and The Americans. Tucker Gates, who directed episodes of Homeland, Ray Donovan, The Sinner. Michelle MacLaren, who directed episodes of Better Call Saul, Westworld, Game of Thrones, and will be directing the upcoming Cowboy Ninja Viking movie, which is an idea that Chris Pratt hatched up on Parks and Rec. And also Lynn Shelton, who passed away in May. She directed episodes AP Bio, Glow, Little Fires Everywhere. I think she might have been married to or dated Mark Maron for a little bit. So director's pretty solid roster there. Writing credits, some good credits here and there. Jeff Augustin, he wrote for Claws, which has been getting okay. I guess it had okay reviews on TNT. It might have been canceled though. Erica Lopez. She wrote episodes of Suits and Bates Motel. Adam Milch. My eyes are completely gone. They're just completely gone. I have no eyes left. Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce and Heart of Dixie, which I wonder if they're going to, with everything that's going on, if they need to change the title of that show, even though it's been off the air for 10 years. The Heart of Red Tails. Kristen Layden, who directed an episode of Blind Spot, JC Lee, How to Get Away with Murder, Tori Spear, Bates Motel. So pretty good roster of talent, writing and directing. How about the cast? Well, a lot of comedy actors who have made their money in comedy. Jennifer Aniston as Alex Levy, the co-host of the morning show. Reese Witherspoon as Bradley Jackson, field reporter. Steve Carell as Mitch Kessler, recently fired co-host of morning show. Billy Crudup as Cory Ellison, the UBA executive. Mark Duplass as Charlie Chip Black, executive producer of morning show. I'm going to butcher this. I mean, you want a test of how white this cracker can be? Here we go. Gugu Mbatha Raw. Definitely didn't get that right. As Hannah Schoenfeld, a very, very good performance there. As the head talent booker. Nestor Carbonell as Yanko Flores, meteorologist. He also gave a great performance. Karen Pittman as Mia Jordan. I just broke my toe. I didn't even do anything. I broke my toe. Welcome. This is 40, Neal. This is 40. Producer Belle Powley, who I really liked in King of Staten Island as Claire Conway. She's a PA production assistant. Morning show. She has a secret love affair with Yanko. Deshaun Terry as Daniel Henderson. I think he's gay. Black man who's the co-host of the Weekend Edition, who would like to be the co-host with Alex Levy. Jack Davenport is Jason Gregg, Alex's husband, with whom she is secretly separated from. That was just like, I didn't buy that relationship for a goddamn New York minute. It's a British dude. I mean, far be it from me to comment on looks or anything like that, but I just didn't see how these two, I don't see the chemistry at all. And maybe that's the point. It's like maybe they had the chemistry at one point and now it's just soured so tremendously that it's like I can never envision these two together. But it would have been nice if they at least, I don't know, hinted at it a little bit. Like, what did you, Alex Levy, Jennifer Aniston, ever see in this Jack Davenport, Jason Craig character? Tom Irwin as Fred Micklin, UBA president. Mindy Kaling as Audra, who is with a rival morning show. Brett Butler, not former Dodgers and Mets center fielder Brett Butler, but Brett Butler from Grace Under Fire. Was that the name of the show? 90s. I kind of almost watched it religiously when I was a kid. Did I? Did I not? She plays Bradley Jackson's mom. And Martin Short as a very creepy Dick Lundry. 61% of critics gave this a favorable review, while 93% of the audience on Rotten Tomatoes gave it a favorable review. And you can kind of see why. It's the cast can really carry this show. And I think the critics were not I don't think the critics were not in love with how the show started. I know I wasn't in love with how the show started, but I really liked how the show ended. It ended with just a furious ball of anger and retribution. So yeah, I was kind of on the fence about it in the first episode or two. I was just like, this seems like Jennifer Aniston's character, Alex Levy, like going to Mitch Kessler's house and like having a breakdown and saying how her life is over and she's in shambles. And it's like, you're still the co-host making millions of dollars. You have a house here and you have a house there. That's what's so nuts about this is like you have a bunch of rich people complaining. Well, the talent making the big bucks saying their life is over and how are they going to survive when they have, it's like Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro was quoted recently as saying like, I'm going to butcher this too. He's going to have to find out how to survive on $7.5 million a year or something like that. It's like, wow, you're really rich, huh? And he got roasted for that. And I'm pretty sure maybe it was taken out of context and, but that's just the mentality of a lot of these celebrities that just make so much goddamn money that when that, the money machine goes away, I guess, or when the cash express comes to a halt, they think that it's over for them. And, for a lot of people, it's not. And for a lot of the talent celebrities, it's not about the money, but it's about the legacy. And that's kind of what Mitch Kessler, that is what Mitch Kessler is fighting for throughout this series. Steve Carell gives a wonderful performance. I mean, Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, Steve Carell. I didn't buy Reese Witherspoon at first as this kind of like rogue character who like doesn't play by the rules and wears a leather jacket. And then I warmed up to her. It was like you could see, of course, they did a great job of painting her in a light that was like, you're not completely sold on her. Like there's a group or section of her colleagues at the morning show that are like, I believe in her. I trust her. She's authentic. She's genuine. She's empowered. And then you have the other sectors like, this is a fucking act. She's pretending. She's doing this because she knows blah, blah, blah. It's to make herself look better, that kind of thing. So I thought that was an interesting angle with her. I mean, the viral video of her freaking out on the guy at the coal mine protest. It's like, yeah, it seemed a bit staged and over the top. And like Jennifer Aniston's character, Alex Levy, called her out on it. But there was a nice little repartee between them that happens throughout those series. Like that was a good mano-y-mano between Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon. I thought Jennifer Aniston gave a pretty good performance. She had some really great moments, especially when she broke down a couple times, once on location, once at the motel or the hotel where the wildfires were happening, and she was getting somewhat closer to Reese Witherspoon. But there are so many mannerisms that she has that remind me of Rachel on Friends. And then I get sucked back into that for a hot second. Like, wait, that's like such a Rachel thing from Friends. It just must be hard to shake because she had played that character for so long. And it's like, how do you separate it? Like, is that her just as an actress, like her quirks and ticks, or is that something she did for Rachel? And it turns out, well, it's probably just Jennifer Aniston coming through. Carell, I mean, like, I think Carell did a really great job as Mitch Kessler, as a straight white man who, I've never had, I don't think I've ever had power, but then again, it's kind of goes in line with white privilege, right? For a long time, I was against thinking that I had white privilege. It was like, but I don't have privilege. Like, I'm not super rich. I have not gotten far because of my skin color, but it's like, well, you've actually done better than you would have if you weren't white. I think the same thing kind of applies here when Steve Carell is talking about power, or Mitch Kessler is talking about power, that as a man or a straight man, you do have a certain level of power, even though it's, Mitch Kessler and he has like millions upon millions of dollars and big houses and a huge job. And like, it's also, and like Mark Duplass talked about this recently about like playing that role of Chip Black as the executive producer. He also had a power that he didn't know he had until now. And as a owner of a production company, like he knows that he has a certain power, just being a man. So that's what makes it so tough watching Steve Carell's Mitch Kessler, because it's hard not to think like, oh, well, sometimes he makes a valid point, or at least maybe I saw it as a valid point back when this all was first starting in 2017, where it's like, what if she didn't want that she should have said no. She should have left. Why did she stay? Why did she not say no? Why, it's like, it's a tough situation to be in. So, but yeah, you can see towards the end, like he is a very like, whew, despicable man. Some fun tidbits I came across: Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, Steve Carell, and Mimi Leder, who is a director and executive producer, have all denied notions that the show is just the story of disgraced TV personnel Matt Lauer. I mean, okay, Matt Lauer, Mitch Kessler. Matt Lauer is often referred to as like America's dad or fun uncle, I think, right? And they referred to Mitch Kessler as that. The whole like in Mitch Kessler's dressing room, him having a button where it just automatically slams the door shut and locks it, which was a staple of Matt Lauer's office. You know, I'm sure they change enough details and names around or whatnot that it's like you can't get in trouble for it. But it's like if you're Matt Lauer, like, do you even watch it? And if you do watch it, are you just seething because it's like, ugh, painting me as a monster? But it's true what Mitch Kessler said, though. It's like this has been going on for as tales old as time. Like human history, men of power have been sought after, pursued by women or men because of their power. And there are instances where the person pursuing that man of power wants a part of that power, wants to be a part of that power dynamic. And then if things turn sour, there is some pig piling and dog piling that goes on where they can, and it even happened later on in the series with Jennifer Aniston potentially cooking up a story that she could go to the press with about Mitch Kessler that would really be the absolute final nail in the coffin of many final nails in the coffin for him. Yeah, but then they actually showed like that when they were in Vegas for the shooting, the Mandalay Bay shooting, and he's connects with Hannah, and then there's a part of you where it's like you're seeing it from her perspective, where it's like, okay, this is a father figure, the parental unit that she didn't have because she lost her mother at a young age, I believe. And so she was lost and confused and sad. And she had this older gentleman who was kind of like a father figure, mentorish in that moment, or has been, inviting her up to his room to watch a comedy movie. And it's like to take her mind off of what's going on. Like, yeah, I can totally see how she didn't view that as he's going to try and fuck me or hook up with me, especially when he's married and he has this persona. It always infuriates me. And I've seen it to a T. I mean, I watched Athlete A on Netflix, a documentary about that fucking creepy doctor at Michigan State who was like molesting all the gymnasts, Olympic gymnasts. I watched the Jeffrey Epstein Filthy Rich on Netflix, that documentary. And it's just like to a T. You don't realize that it's an overwhelming feeling that comes over the victim, the survivor, where they're paralyzed and they're frozen and they can't say anything. And it just never clicked with me until like you start seeing all these women have almost the same exact story of like, I didn't know what to do. I was frozen. I was paralyzed. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. I had an out-of-body experience. I was trying to put myself somewhere else. I was just trying to get through it. All these things. It's tough. We actually just started watching Upload on Amazon Prime Video. And it's like, it's set in the future. And like, there's an app, a hookup app called Nightly. And the female lead, she ends up meeting this guy on the app and then goes back to her place. And they're like, so did you bring protection? And you think she's talking about a condom, and they're like, they both whip out some kind of thing that they stick to the middle of their chest and turns out to be like almost the equivalent of like a body cam. And then they have to like say into the body cam, like, I consent to this. I consent to this. And then they go and do their thing. Sure hope it doesn't get to that. But yeah, just like read the room, I guess, is the best. But this show is definitely about Matt Lauer. I mean, yeah, for sure. Definitely. And I believe there's been rumors about Matt Lauer trying to like come up with some kind of viable defense or producing his own thing that shows that he's whatever. Maybe I'm making that up, but I remember hearing that somewhere. Wall Street Journal tabulated that an average of 32 shots per episode contain Apple products, though the producers of the show stated they weren't pressured by Apple to include their products. It's like, no, but here's a bunch of free shit that you can use. It's just there. We put it there. You don't have to use it, but it is free. You don't have to go out and buy a prop. Everyone's using an iPhone and everyone's using a MacBook and whatnot. So Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon made $2 million per episode. And that does not include the fees from executive producing and points on the series back end, as both are serving as executive producers on the series. Hi-ya-ya-ya. Hot damn. Whew. It's cool, $20 million. Plus, there are moments where you really don't like Alex Levy, Jennifer Aniston at all. And at first you're introduced to Billy Crudup's Cory Ellison and you're like, this guy's a douche, whatever. And then he ends up becoming like almost my favorite character. I mean, he has the best quote in the whole show. Chaos is the new cocaine. I mean, Jesus, it's the name of the episode 3. He just thrives on it. And, I fully appreciate the bent that they took with, they need to be more authentic and more genuine. And Bradley Jackson brought a certain degree of that to the show. From minute one, though, when they open on Chip Black, Mark Duplass on the floor, and he's on the phone, I was like, yep, I got a hunch about this. I got a feeling. The whole series, they're like, who leaked this to the Times? Who leaked this to the Times? Did you leak to the Times? Did you Times? You leak Times? And the whole time I was like, I wavered, but it was like, it's got to be Chip Black. And of course it was Chip Black. That was such a heart-crushing thing in the final episode where he's going up the escalator knowing that he's going to get canned, and coming down the other side of the escalator is Alex Levy, the person that he I guess grew up with professionally, that they've worked together their whole time together. And then to see her just kind of not even acknowledge him, just turn her head, put her head down. It's just like, you bitch. Cannot believe it. I was really hoping they would do the interview, because Mitch wants to do the interview with Bradley Jackson, and we didn't get to see it. They had a whole scheme, a plot to have it happen. I like the way they handled it, though. The fact that the interview didn't happen, obviously because spoiler, Hannah OD'd. That kind of derailed everything. But I was looking forward to that. I thought that would be a showdown for the ages. And instead, it just ended up being, I don't know what they do for season 2. I really don't. I mean, I know they filmed, I think they filmed before COVID hit. They filmed a couple episodes and then they had to shut down. And now because of COVID, they're going to end up rewriting a bunch of episodes to accommodate for that. But the way season 1 ends, it's I don't even know how you go from there. Because it was your 2 co-hosts of the morning show. It's all, G-rated, PG-rated, squeaky clean, just dropping all kinds of profanity on national broadcast that they eventually had to cut short. So, yeah, I would say I would go in between. I would not, if we're going out of 100, I would not do a 61. I would not do 93. I'd probably split the diff, 172. Yeah, I'd say probably high 70s, low 80s, maybe. Definitely interested in season 2 because I don't know how or where you go from there. I really don't. I just know that Fred Micklin is effed. It was interesting though when they showed, there was one episode where they kind of walked you through a day in the life when Mitch was at the top of his game and was still the co-host. I thought that was very interesting because there were what, and I hate this term, but and there are a bunch of terms that I just hate that are popping up now, but microaggression. Because there's a bunch of things that they sound different from what they are. That's just a branding issue. It's they're not worded correctly, but I guess that's the point. They want it to sound harsh so that you pay attention to it, but it actually turned me off. Microaggression. So you could say, watching as the camera follows Mitch Kessler through his day, through the studio, his interactions with everyone. Yeah, I guess there are little microaggressions here and there. Hey, I like the way that dress looks on you. Should a married man be commenting on a woman's blah, 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 blah? Oh, that dress should be shorter. What do you think, Alex? Should that dress be shorter? And joking, and everyone's kind of laughing and joking. You don't get that sense of discomfort that would normally set off bells or alarms or whistles that hey, this is wrong. People were kind of going along with it. They're laughing along with it. And, you don't get the sense in real time because it's not dramatized, not like extreme close up on them being like, squinting, and like you don't feel the gravitas of what's being said or done. Fucking microaggressions, which I hate that term, but like you could see it was happening, because it's like the things he's saying, you could see, like, if you pull out that quote and put it on paper where there's no tone, inflection, or like surrounding context, it's like, wow, it's pretty bad. But like in the moment, in the environment, it seemed like it was kosher. So I can see why Mitch Kessler is upset, because it's like, why did no one fucking tell me? Everyone seemed okay with it. It's like, well, because you wielded that kind of power, which you kind of, that was hard for me to, I guess, accept over the course of the series. It's like, well, Mitch Kessler makes a couple of good points here and there, but they also, it's because of your status that you can't, all these people, not all, but most of these people feared consequence or losing their job or whatever. So that's the morning show. I recommend you give it a watch. If you're still, if you tuned out for the spoilers, it's worth a watch for sure. There were some ratings on IMDb for morning show. I'll run through them. I mean, the last episode I think got the highest ratings with a 9.7 out of 10. The next highest would be That Woman, which was episode 4. Premiere, not so. I mean, the premiere is rated as one of the lowest. I really thought that the Yanko Claire relationship was going to somehow come back to bite Bradley Jackson in the ass, because Bradley Jackson's going after the network. She's going after Mitch. She's going after Fred. She's going after the culture. And then to have her hire Claire as her personal assistant, as Claire is having this secret affair with Yanko, I thought that was going to definitely come back to bite Bradley in the ass. Be like, well, so you're investing in this, but this is happening right under your nose. And of course, it didn't happen that way. I thought maybe that would have been a better way to have that subplot turn out. Like somehow that comes back to bite Bradley. I just thought that would be a nice little conclusion or development. But like, yeah, Hannah Schoenfeld, the woman who plays Hannah Schoenfeld, just like gut-wrenching performance. So I wonder if she'll get nominated for any awards, because that storyline was it was tough to swallow.